Hello and welcome to the Change Gang podcast with me, your host, Laura Ordile. I'm here to help you hold on to your sanity and your soul as you move through big change. I'm here to guide you from frustration to flow in your life, bridging the practical and the woo, just for you. Let's go. Welcome to the Week Change Gang, and just to finish up the month of December, I'm reposting an episode from before. Now, I've chosen one so far that I think have been really important for this time of year, and I've chosen one today that I think is so fun and interesting and something that I experienced and love to allow others to experience, and it's called Mindscaping. And it's a discussion that I had with a wonderful man named Derek. So, listen in. Here you go. And Happy New Year to you. All right. Welcome to the Week Change Gang. Super excited to be here with Derek, one of my favorite people. Derek Heron is here. And he's just, he's a nice Scottish guy. And who doesn't love to sit and listen to a nice Scottish guy? Thanks for being here, Derek.
Hiya. Good to be here.
So I'm so glad that we get to talk today. We're going to dive into a super fun thing. I think it's pretty fun. And having experienced it, obviously, with you too, I think it's fun to share with people and just kind of talk about. I've heard the word. We're going to talk about mindscaping today. And I've heard the word, but people use it in different ways. So tell me what we're going to be, how you use it, what we're going to be talking about today in terms of mindscaping.
Yeah, sure. So mindscaping is an incredibly powerful tool, and really it's changing people's maps. So if people have a thing they want to achieve, and this can be anything from weight loss to not be nervous at a meeting, or they might have some kind of blockage in their life that they just can't seem to break through. What we do is we alter the way that journey is mapped out, and we try to remove the blocks and make things more positive and more inviting. So we explore and ecologically landscape the internal architecture. And what I mean by that is we basically change the way the journey is mapped out. And it all happens in subconscious. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, and well, you talk about the map, and it's kind of a little bit of the mind map for that particular thing that your subconscious creates. So it's not necessarily the same map for everything that you're talking about, even with the same person.
Yes, yeah. I mean, every single map is different, and we're very specific. So when we do a mindscape, we ask the conscious mind to supply the map specifically for that goal. That's the crux of it. So we don't want anything else. We don't want, superfluous stuff. We just want what we need to know. What's it all about? What's that journey? And what are the blocks? What is there in front of us? And we ask the subconscious to just present that map for that goal, and that's it. That's all we want.
Right, and just to clarify, because you said conscious and subconscious. We're talking to the subconscious, right?
Yeah, there's no hypnosis required for this, for the mindscaping. But what we do ask is we ask the unconscious mind to present the map for us.
All right.
Okay.
Do you ever have people that struggle with that struggle with coming up with something?
And surprisingly, no. Occasionally, with people who have aphantasia, they struggle a little bit with that because obviously, again, it's a very visual thing. So people with aphantasia struggle with that internal visualization. And sometimes it's maybe not the best approach for someone with aphantasia because it's so visual based. But even then they can get a sense, You know, there's that language that you can use with people with aphantasia, that they can get a sense of this, they can get a sense of what's perhaps in front of them. You'll know what I mean by that, but having done a Mindscape. So yes, but apart from that, everyone can do this. Everyone that can visualize in their head, see in their mind's eye, can do this, and it will work for them.
Right, and so it's actually kind of fun. It was interesting to me because when you go in the beginning, you ask them to create this map, and
Sure.
and so your brain is kind of playing this out in whatever way that it wants to, and then it's like, okay, now we're going to make that map 3D. And it almost reminded me, I don't know if you have ever watched Game of Thrones, but you know, the map kind of comes into play in the beginning, and you see all these 3D things, and I was like, oh, that's what's happening. So it was fun. It was a bit of fun, but I had no idea going into it, besides the subject that we talked about during that, what to expect or why any of it was coming up, and the ways that you kind of led me into what was coming up in the beginning and what was behind me, and then the process of kind of changing some things. And then we talked a little bit about it afterwards, and so it was like, oh, okay, I get that now, I understand. And some of the things that I thought and was processing in my mind made more sense when we talked a little bit about that. Because I think you're asking, and maybe that's just me, I probably didn't give you as much detail as maybe some people do, but there's a lot going on in my mind in that process. But you're picking out some important parts of that and kind of guiding me.
Yeah.
It wasn't just about what I saw. It was about what I felt.
Yeah.
Why did you do that? Why did you pick out?
Okay. So what happens is when we ask the unconscious mind to create a map, and as you say, we then ask it to render everything in 3D. So we find that the map presents both natural structures and more manufactured structures in front of us and behind us and to the sides. And for me, so these are symbolic representations that the unconscious mind is providing. Now, I don't know whether these structures are positive structures or negative structures. So I have to ask the client, how does that make you feel? So the client observes something, and I need to know, is this something, this symbolic thing that they can see on their map, is this a negative thing or is it a good thing? Because we really want to avoid the negative things, right? And where the negative thing provides a blockage, we want to try and work our way around or remove that blockage. So I need to know, do we keep this or do we deal with this? And so I need to know by the client reaction, is it a good thing or is it a bad thing? How does that make you feel? And that instinct, that core instinct, tells me everything.
And so when something negative does come up, I mean, that's kind of the purpose.
Sure.
What we're doing with the Mindscape is you're creating a place that represents the issue. Yeah. Whether it is weight loss or a block that you're having, could be a block in your business, you're not making progress, something like that. Mm-hmm. Your mind is creating a representation of place that then you navigate.
Yeah, it's creating a map. It's creating a map of the journey that you need to take or that you are taking. It's a live map. The map changes very slowly, albeit when you're doing a Mindscape, but the map is live. For instance, I had a client today. I had a client earlier today, and I Mindscaped them for weight loss. And it was very interesting because they looked at the horizon. Now, the horizon represents the goal, what they want to achieve. And interestingly enough, they saw a mountain in the horizon, and that was all. So that's not enough for me. I need to find out a little bit more. So I asked them to take binoculars and have a look at the mountain and see what else they could see. And as soon as in their mind, they lifted these binoculars to their eyes, and they could see this little house. And that's fine, that's great, that's their goal. It's represented by a little house. Fabulous. But what was really, really interesting, because this client had come to me with weight loss and they were struggling to lose weight, they still had that little podgy belly, and they just wanted to lose that. And they couldn't. There was something just stopping them. But what they saw when they looked at this house was there was a fence all the way around the house. So that's a great metaphoric imagery. There's your blockage. There's what's stopping you. You can't get to the house because there's a fence. So what I did in this situation, I said, okay, what's the fence made of? And she said, it's made of wood. I said, great. So let's put a bubble around this fence, and within this bubble, we're going to accelerate time. We're going to accelerate time hundreds and hundreds of times faster than normal. And I said, watch as that fence weathers. Tell me what's happening to that fence as it's affected by the weather over hundreds and hundreds of years, affecting it really, really rapidly. And I said, it's rotting, the wood's rotting. And now it's crumbling, and now it's all just dust on the ground. I said, wonderful. So what we did there was we fed back to the unconscious to remove this fence. And we did it in an ecological way. We didn't blow the fence up or set fire to the fence. We did it in a perfectly ecological way that the subconscious could understand. And we just, in order to, that fence may be representative of a learning or of a teaching or of a past knowledge of some sort. And so we just left a little plaque. Just where the fence went across the path, we just left a little plaque to say, there was a fence here at once. At some point there was a fence here, but it's no longer here. And this little plaque marked where the fence was. And that just means that memory, that learning, isn't destroyed completely. There's still that knowledge of that memory, whatever that fence meant. It's no longer there now, but there's just a little plaque there to remind us of what it stood for. And that's it. And that's how. So the map is a journey, and it represents all the obstacles and all the good things as well that are on that journey, and the goal.
Wow. I mean, that's so cool, because people don't realize it's not about sometimes you having to put words or identify or come to a conscious knowledge of what it is that's stopping you from achieving your goal, whatever that is. It can be metaphorical. It can be something, because at the core of it, we do know. There's a part of us that knows whatever it is, that can put words to it, but it's often easier for us to just understand in that metaphor as a fence, as a whatever. I'm sure you've had other things come up.
Oh, yes.
As something blocking the way for us to move forward. Yep. But we also innately know how to clear that. Our subconscious knows how to take care of that, reprogram that, do something different from this point on. Yep. And coming to that awareness, even at a metaphorical level, can make that change, is what you're telling me, yeah?
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. So their internal map is a continuous feedback loop with the client's feelings, beliefs, presuppositions, judgments, fears, hopes, all of that. And by carefully sculpting the features of the map, we can literally change the client's mind.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, you said, that I've had other metaphors. I had one client recently, and what was blocking him, of all things, was the Eiffel Tower. Oh. So he looked across to his future, and the Eiffel Tower was in the way. I have no idea what that represented, and I don't need to know, right? But the fact that and all I did was I just shrunk the client. I suggested, so how can we get round the Eiffel Tower? What can you do to get round it? And he said, I want to shrink it. I said, well, shrink it. And so he shrunk it so he could literally just step over it, right? And get on his way. Because we're using the metaphors presented to us by the unconscious. So if we, in our minds, make those changes, we know that this is anything the subconscious does, it's guaranteed. That's it, set in stone. If we make a change and the subconscious is cooperating with that change, we know that that's going to be deep and permanent. It's deep and long-lasting change because it's been done by the subconscious mind. And so we speak its language. We see these metaphors presented to us by the unconscious, and we change them, and we feed back to the unconscious. This is what I want. This is my goal. This is my journey to my goal. This is in the way. Let's shrink it. Let's change it. Let's alter it. Let's, remove it. And you're feeding back to the unconscious mind, and the unconscious goes, okay, I read your language loud and clear. You shrunk the Eiffel Tower. I know what the Eiffel Tower means, and now I know what you want. Let's move on.
And I think that's something you just said is really important, because you said when the subconscious is cooperating. That's the part that often people don't understand, that it's trying to do the best it can do for us. And it thinks it's doing that even when it's to our detriment, even when we're holding on to the weight, the anxiety, the frustration, whatever it is that we're or not gaining the goal that we want. Because there's a part of it in there that's going, well, this is how we've always done it. This is what I'm supposed to do to keep you safe. But when you go in and you start communicating in this way through these metaphors, it comes to an understanding of that we need a new way, we need a new path, we need to clearly things, right? So that's where the cooperation comes in.
Yes. Yeah.
Cool. That's so cool. I love our minds. Isn't it fascinating?
And you can't get it wrong. This is the thing. You're using images that the unconscious mind presented. So you can't get it wrong. As a therapist, it's giving you everything you need to know on a plate. It's showing you that whole journey on a plate, presenting it to you. There you go. We don't need to interpret stuff. We don't need to consciously ask the client questions. The unconscious is presenting the whole map to us. And it's just a case of we look at that map and analyze it. It's interesting, the map is very spatial. We have the sky, we have the ground, and I'll say this tentatively, we have the underground. And so we have the underground. Occasionally, very, very seldom, but occasionally we venture underground. In psychology terms, the sky represents the superego, the parent, the ego that's responsible for our morality, our spirituality, our social values, right? It's the kind of parent ego state. And then we've got the ground that the map appears in, and that is our ego. That's our ego. That represents our ego, the I, the sense of I, the I am, the reality, the rational part of our mind, I guess. And then the low ground, which we very, very rarely venture in any mindscape. That's the id. If you know your psychology terms, that's the id. That's the instinct stuff, the urges, the subconscious, the impulse, the primary processes. That's that sort of thing. And on the very odd occasion, you might find in the mindscape that there is a portal or a tunnel leading downwards. In one instance, there's the entrance to the subway station, something like that, or a rabbit hole. And if you think of Alice in Wonderland, there are so many psychological metaphors in Alice in Wonderland, right? And Alice falls down this rabbit hole, and that says it all. That's what the mindscape does. It presents this map of the superego, the ego, and the id in a map.
Well, and talking about the underground, I mean, I'm thinking that might represent something a little darker, a little more difficult.
It most certainly is darker. It's where all the inner demons are. It's, if you build up a good rapport with the subconscious, then occasionally it might just present a little journey below ground. But you know what? With any mindscape, it's constantly with the client. How does that make you feel? And the client might say, I want to go down there. The client might say, not sure about that. Okay, maybe we'll just stay on the surface. All right? If the client decides to go down there, it's deep stuff, it's heavy stuff. And so you can make sure the client's going to be safe. And any time the client can decide, hey, this is just too scary, or this, I feel bad about this. Again, how does that make you feel? All right. Always check in with your client. The symbology that they see, how does it make you feel? And you can just say, okay, it makes you feel bad. Let's not go down there. Maybe we'll leave that for another day. If the subconscious presents that as something that they think is of value, but ultimately is the client ready to face whatever is down there? That's up to the client. But sometimes it's nice that the subconscious feels safe enough to present that. Okay. If it was easy peasy stuff, if it was nothing and frivolous, it would appear in the map. It would appear on the surface, right? But if it's deep and heavy, then it's underground.
And have you had somebody go down underground, walk them through that part of it?
Yeah, you can walk them through, and you put various safety mechanisms in place that will keep them safe. So you make sure that there's an imaginary line that they can take with them, so they might be tethered to the above ground, and they can they're tied to a rope that feeds out continuously as they go underground. So even if it's dark, they can easily find their way back up to the surface.
And I assume, though, that even if it is dark, even if it is something, it's going to once again be metaphorical.
Absolutely. Yes.
So it's not going to go down and bring this tragedy that somehow happened.
No, absolutely. No, you just, it's the unconscious invitation to face your fear, really, right? It's just that kind of thing. But not everyone wants to do that. Not everyone's ready to do that. You can arm them with protective amulets. You can arm them with weapons that will destroy anything that they feel is, yeah. So they feel safe, right?
And to protect you, to go with you. So that's
it's not something that happens often, though, thankfully.
No,
but you can be prepared to.
And I know that people might go, well, yeah, but I feel like I'm making it up. Well, you probably are, and that's the part of it, that it's okay that you're making it up, because your mind is giving you the information along the way. So it's telling a story. So you are supposed to be creating that story.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yes, there's no right or wrong in this. What you see is what you see is what you see. It can be as surreal as you like. It's whatever the unconscious mind chooses to present to you. It knows what it means. Interestingly, again, that client I spoke to today, we spotted a little cottage, and we allowed the fence to erode away. And then, we looked at the path in front of her again, and there was some trees there, and it was a stone path. And so I asked her, I said, so what else would make this journey more inviting, more interesting, more encouraging, more motivating for you? What else do you need in this path? And she said, like a horse. I said, okay. Allow that horse to appear. I said, what colour is the horse? She said, it's white. I said, wow, white horse. I said, is it beside you, or are you riding the horse? Oh, I'm riding the horse. I said, how wonderful. How does that make you feel? Oh, great. Absolutely great. Now, I don't know what the metaphor for the horse was. I didn't ask. I don't need to know. But then whatever made her think of horses, who knows? But she now has a horse on her journey. And that's great.
Well, and I remember in mine when we were doing it, I actually, at one point, you asked me to look at something, and I couldn't see it. It was like it was blocked out, like the sun was in my eyes type thing, and I couldn't really see it. And you walked me through that as well. So even if you do kind of get stumped.
Yes, sometimes. So sometimes the unconscious, I think it was you looked at your past and you were blinded by the sunshine. And that's a very deliberate act of the unconscious. The unconscious will use perhaps a fog or a mist. In your case, it was quite clever. It blinded you with a bright sunlight. And so it's sort of protecting you from something, right? So you've looked in that direction, in this case your past, and it's going, oh, okay, there's a couple of things there that maybe she doesn't need to see. So I'm just going to just blind her with light. Now you can carefully, gently prod the unconscious mind to say, go on, look, just, what are you willing to show me? Just even a little peek into there. And I think we gave you a cap, didn't we? So you put a cap on it, and it gave you, but interestingly, it didn't give you full clarity of vision. You were able to see a little bit more, and that's exactly how the unconscious mind works. You can't bully it. You can't say, right, we'll have a solar eclipse and you'll have instant clarity. No, it's good. All right, you want to see a little bit, but I know better, right? I'm unconscious. I know better, and I'm going to, okay, you've asked me. Here's a little peek, but that's all you're getting. We can't bully the unconscious, right? It's way powerful than we are. So we can gently prod and say, just see a little bit.
So how do you discern at that point as the person guiding them, whether that is a block or just a bit of protection?
Yeah, so a block will be clear and obvious, like an Eiffel Tower, like a gate, a fence, whatever. But just protection is always vague. It's when you're looking forward in your mind map, you can see clearly. You can see all the structures and objects that have come out of the map very clearly, and that's fine. And that's because the unconscious is presenting them to you. But if you look and suddenly there's a fog or a mist or bright sunshine in your eyes, there's a reason for that, right? It's not a block, it's a lack of clarity. It's obscured. And so you know that it's not a blockage, it's just something that's deliberately obscured.
I can see the difference totally in what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So that makes
and if the unconscious wanted you to see it, you would see it, right? But you can't, so that means something. It tells you something. Why can't I see this? Oh, okay. I'm not supposed to.
It wasn't in my way. It was just,
No.
It was something that was there.
Yeah, it was your past. So just something in your past that really you didn't need to know about or you didn't need reminded of.
And so at the end too, you did a fun little thing for me. Just like with the horse, I think mine was a bike that I got to go on, make it easier for me.
Yeah.
But you left little presents for me.
Yes.
At the end.
Yeah. So what you can do is, usually when we look at the horizon, which is your goal, we lift you high up, and again we're lifting you high. We're lifting you towards the morality, the spirituality side of things, right? And so we're lifting you up to see the horizon, to see what your goal is. And just to make that journey more encouraging, more motivated to take that journey, I ask you just to, take a lot of gifts and allow them just to fall onto the path. Let them fall. Indestructible gifts, right? They're brightly wrapped little ribbons, and they fall and scatter in various parts of the journey. And as you take the journey, you'll come across these things. You won't know what they are until you come across them. And just little bits of encouragement. And again, we're speaking that metaphoric language. So the unconscious will provide these little highlights, these little surprises, just to encourage you, to motivate you, to keep you going on that journey. And why not, right? We all like surprises.
And do you kind of do that for everyone? Do you leave the little gifts?
Yeah, I do it frequently, and why not? But sometimes, the path is so inviting. The client has cleared the path and added flowers along the way and various other things that they've got there, and they might have a horse, and they don't need these surprises. Their journey is just, they're so motivated, right? They're just, you can see it in the change in their physiology. Their eyes are closed during this, and there's no hypnosis in this. There's a little bit of relaxation at the start, but there's no actual hypnosis in this. But you can see them smiling. You can see the eagerness in their face. You can see the change in posture as they now look at this journey ahead. The sky is changed from grey to a clear blue sky, and all these metaphoric changes. They're just ready and raring to go. You clearly don't need all these extra gifts to encourage them. They've decided they want a motorbike so they can just get there.
Oh, I didn't think about that. I should have got a motorcycle.
Yeah.
I'll trust my mind that it picked the right thing. So,
It definitely did. Absolutely.
so that's fun. I'm surprised it didn't pick a spaceship. My brain. But you just never know. That's so cool. And so you work with this. Do you work with people? Will you just do a Mindscape session with them, or is that in conjunction to the other work you do?
I don't always do a Mindscape. It's one of these, I guess, these therapist instincts. You just kind of know that this person could do with a Mindscape. With the client that I had with the weight loss, I did the Mindscape and I actually followed it up with the Swan. Maybe we can discuss the Swan at some point. But you know exactly what the Swan protocol is. This was perfect for the client. She wasn't a great hypnotic subject. And so I used these two things in conjunction. I cleared the path of her journey. So the Mindscape requires no hypnosis. It requires a few moments of relaxation. It preempts the unconscious of what the goal is, what the subject of the mind map is. But there's no hypnosis. And then after the mind map, so during the mind map, we looked at the journey. We looked at the goal. We cleared the path for her. And so, because she wasn't a great hypnotic subject, I used the Swan, which is, again, it's a non-hypnotic protocol to allow the unconscious to make all the changes necessary for her diet to go smoothly. Okay? So the two in conjunction there, great pairing, ideal, fine. It's just one of these instinctive things. You know what? There is no harm in starting every client off with a Mindscape. You set the scene, you clear the path, that's it. The ground is laid quite literally for them to move forward. And then you can do all the therapy work that's necessary. But the path has been cleared. And it's found, and it's instant, you know. You're making these changes and you're instantly, the unconscious is in cooperation with these changes. And so that means that's it. The wheels and cogs of, the processing begin immediately. And the conscious sets to work.
That's so awesome. I probably could sit here and talk to you for another hour about this, but we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. And I'd love for you to share, Derek, how people can get in touch with you. And, of course, that information will be in the show notes as well. But go ahead and let them know.
Sure. Okay. So there's two ways you can get in touch with me. There's the website, which is www.cognitivecure.co.uk, and that's for my general hypnotherapy practice. That's where I cover just about everything. And there's also I can't remember what is that. It's
well, that's the PTSD one, right? Is it?
Yes. What is it? It is. My goodness. See. You put me on a podcast, and I can't for the life of me remember what it is.
It'll be in the notes. You're also on Catch, right? You're also on Catch.
I'm on Catch.
Don't worry about it. It's going to be in the comments, not a problem. So,
and yes, so the other website is purely for PTSD clients. So if you want to go there, then that's, if you've got PTSD, and we know all about this, we've covered that in a previous podcast. That's where my PTSD clients are directed to.
Yeah, or they can go to the Catch PTSD and it'll direct them.
They can.
Thank you so much for being here today, for having this conversation with me. I think it's fascinating. I think it was so easy. And like you said, I think it would be a good thing for anyone to experience and just kind of go through, because it's so easy to process and just let the story be told. And it's kind of fun.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. The clients love it. And they always come out of it going, wow, that was so interesting. And you don't need to do any work. The unconscious presents everything you need to know.
All right, Change Gang, there you go. If you want to do Mindscape, get in touch. And now I'm going to have to go play with that too. So who knows what I'll do with it. But have a great day. I hope you have a great week. And I hope that you meet me same time next week right here. I hope today's episode was interesting to you in some way and fun. If so, hey, find someone to share it with. Maybe they need to hear it too. Or maybe they'll just enjoy it. If you'd like, go ahead and grab
my tips on supercharging your success. It includes a free short meditation to do just that. You can find that at bit.ly/supercharge your success. Until next time, happy day.